When the Galaxy Z Fold 5 was announced, yes Z, not Z, a lot of people kind of walked away feeling a bit disappointed because it looks like it's basically the same device for the second year run, especially when it came to the cameras. A lot of people disappointed because on the surface of it, the camera is exactly the same. There's a 12 megapixel, 50 megapixel and 10 megapixel setup. But what's down on paper for the megapixels doesn't tell the whole story. Because there was another device released earlier this year that also had the same cameras as last year, but there was a big improvement. I'm talking about the S23 and 23 Plus. Those cameras are great, but on paper they were exactly the same cameras as last year. But Samsung talked about how they're better at night mode, and how they use a different glass for the lenses, how they use a new sensor. So even though they didn't talk about like any improved sensors or anything like that, they did talk about key things that showed up on the S23 event, like nightography and better separation with portrait mode and things like that. So that, again, it could be the processor, but it could also be some new camera hardware that's just different in other ways other than megapixels. It may be a larger sensor or a new ISP, anything. I'm not the camera expert, I've not torn it down, I've not seen inside. All I know is pictures look different on the Fold 5 than they do on the Fold 4, and there's only two ways that would be possible. So although you look at the back and you see the megapixels, it's exactly the same, don't be fooled, it's definitely not. And now that the reviews are starting to come out, it looks like that might be the same case for the Z Fold 5 as well. Either the cameras are improved in all but megapixels, or the new processor, the Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 for Samsung, is just leagues better and is better at camera processing. I guess we don't really know just yet. Maybe we'll get a teardown that can show us or something, but what's on paper doesn't exactly matter, because looking at the camera comparisons, the Z Fold 5 is much better than the Z Fold 4. I'm not going to bother to do a camera comparison myself because Danny Wingett has already done such a fantastic job of one, which I'll link to in the description below. And up here, maybe, I don't know, somewhere, I'll link it. And it is great. Now it does show that the Z Fold 5 is better, not in all situations. In some, the Z Fold 4 is slightly better. But when the Z Fold 5 is better, it's way better. So it could just be processing, or it could be upgraded camera. It makes total sense that they wouldn't really talk much about how the camera's changed when they already talked about the new camera capabilities with the S23 and S23 Plus, and the Z Fold lineup just uses exactly the same cameras from that lineup. And everyone wants the S22 Ultra cameras on the Z Fold 4, but at the end of the day, this is an £1,800 phone. That's a lot of money, and with the cameras on the S23 Ultra, that's easy going to push it over £2,000 in my opinion. Right, I don't know, maybe Samsung could do it for the same price, but I'd be worried they wouldn't. There's obviously a reason they're using the non-flagship cameras, the S23 and S23 Plus, and not the S23 Ultra. So take a few moments and go and watch that video, because there's a great comparison and much better than what I'll do. Enjoy it, and I'll have a full review on the Z Fold 5 very soon.